Hi there. Okay, so I don't know. This is interesting. I continue to make these videos for this workshop, and what continues to happen is I keep changing things because I see more and I see more and I see more. And that's actually a beautiful thing. I've always been like, I'm gonna do my hair and I'm gonna do my makeup and I'm gonna sit in my room and I'm gonna make these videos all fancy and professional and perfect. And nobody ends up watching them because I don't ever release them because I continue to evolve and grow, which means the work that I'm doing is evolving and growing. So, what I've decided is, you know what? I'm going to sit outside. I'm not going to care what I look like. I'm not going to care what I say because what I really, really want to do is learn more about this work that I keep seeing. I keep getting these downloads, I keep getting these visions, I keep putting this all together. And so I'm just going to keep working this through and releasing these sessions so people can listen to them, watch them, and get the benefits from them, because it kind of feels like I'm hiding the work that I'm doing because I'm trying to put it all together, and what I need to do is just release it piece by piece by piece, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But my goal is to do these 8-part series because what I've created is this beautiful little chart. And on this beautiful little chart, I have got like 19 years of my work mapped. The things that matter to me, the things that have mattered to me through the 19 years is what I have mapped on this chart. And I actually have it mapped according to our chakras. Yes, I know there are 7 chakras, but what I really intuitively felt is that I needed to have an 8th step. And so I added the 8th step, and I'm calling that chakra just beyond. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this every day. I'm going to do a session with it every day. And as I'm talking about it, I'm also going to learn about it. I did a TikTok live this morning, and I already started to understand more about our core wounds and how they work in our bodies, through our minds, through our lives. And so that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're not going to pull a card. On TikTok Live, I pulled a card for which chakra that we were going to work with. But what we're going to do in this series is we're actually going to go through them step by step. So the one that we're actually going to work with today is the base chakra. Actually, you know what? I am going to look at the card though, because I did write a couple extra things. So the base chakra is about survival. It works with our adrenals and also our finances. So we're going to sit with that. But what I actually want to do also is see where in the body right now we are working with, what system in the body we're working with, and also which part of the brain we're going to use in order to heal these parts of us. And by these parts of us, what I mean is the core wounds that are creating the limits in our lives. And I just feel like everything has shifted so much these last few weeks that everything that I want to do is so different. Really everything that I want to do is so different. And the reason everything that I want to do is so different is because I've been listening to my heart and really, really getting aligned with what it is I truly want. And, the interesting part of this is that I have always believed that I was meant to get book deals, be on stages, travel the world, create a system of healing that was going to heal people. But I always saw it from this really big place. And one of the books that I wrote a couple years ago actually just won 2 awards. And that was a really, really big deal. And what that actually got me realizing is my dreams could start coming true any minute now. I could easily get a book deal. I could easily start, people could start to find my videos and want to hire me for events. I could really do it. I really could do it. I feel so confident in my work right now that my work is so powerful and so beautiful and so meaningful that I could do this. Meaning, I could make millions of dollars. I could get the book deals. I could be on stages. I could have a huge impact in this world. I could become famous. And interestingly enough, I've been feeling really out of sorts these last couple weeks and not really understanding why, but really feeling like I'm spiraling in my thoughts. I'm feeling so anxious. I'm just not feeling myself. And I had a conversation with a friend the other night, and he was just asking me some questions about what it is I wanted to do and what was important to me. And it was interesting because, of course, my answer was the most important things are my kids. And what he said is, so what good is it if you don't have your health? Like, if you don't have your health, what good are you to your kids? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And when I was talking with him and really listening to my body and feeling it in my body, what I realized is I have just been spinning my wheels, trying to get something that I realize now I don't really want. I don't like fucking traveling. You could not pay me to travel. I don't like traveling. I might want to go to Hawaii someday again. I don't know. I like going to the lake that's an hour and a half away from here. I'm not a fan of traveling. I don't like being on airplanes. I don't like being around a lot of people. I don't like it. I am just like so incredibly happy here in my yard, in my home, in my life with what I have and who I am. And yet I keep believing that I need more, because I believe I need more because I have this core wound telling me that I need to be better because I am not good enough. And I'm trying and trying and trying. And so when I was talking to this person, I started remembering, things that had happened in my life. There was a celebrity coach that I had been working with, and I was going to work with him. I was literally going to work with him. We were going to do events together. And so this is where I do have this belief that I know that I can be on stages because I've been with the people who are very influential in the world, and they really loved my work and what I was doing and wanted to work with me. But then those people showed me parts of them that I didn't align with or agree with. But there's always been this part of me that felt like I needed to fucking prove it to them that I could do it better than them. And there's always been a part of me that needed to prove to someone that I was better than everybody, which isn't true, but we don't need to be better than anybody. But that's the point. I was always judging myself and I was always comparing myself. But what I wasn't doing is loving myself. I wasn't loving myself enough to just be okay being okay, and being okay being not okay some days. So this is very interesting to me because now I've spent the last couple nights just not sleeping because I am processing so many deep wounds, so much deeply held trauma. And I believe our trauma is carried with us because of the stories that we keep telling ourselves about it. We can go through trauma and it just passes, right? Like it passes, or we make it personal. And when we make it personal, that's how we suffer. So anyway, sorry, my eyes just really itchy. I'm sitting outside and there's like all this shit from the trees falling. So what I realized is I want to work with people in small groups, like 10 to 15 people. I want to hug people. I want to hold people. I want to heal people. And by healing other people, I'm going to heal myself as well. But I remember times that I've been on the stage, and all I could think of is that I wasn't close enough to people, that I wanted to hold people. And I'll never forget that experience. But yet, there's this part of me that doesn't feel good enough, that thinks I need to be better than the other spiritual people in the world that are on stages. I need to prove something to them because they hurt me. They hurt my feelings. They hurt my expectations. They didn't live up to what I wanted them to be. And so I have been trying desperately to get something and be something that I don't want to be. So this has been really, really humbling and really, really beautiful and really, really freeing, but also very stressful, because every time we heal some wound, some part of us, some part of our fear, some part of our fuckery, every time we free it, it's painful. It's painful because it was a part of us. It's painful because we believed we needed it in order to be happy. And when we start to see that we were acting in these ways that sometimes can be very douchey, and very limiting and very whatever, right? It's embarrassing. It's like, but it's not like there's nothing to be embarrassed about, but that is the feeling. I guess it's probably not embarrassment. I would say it's probably more shame. That we're feeling ashamed that we were not in alignment with spirit, right? When we're the people doing the spiritual work. But anyway, it's all a part of the process. That's just part of the pain that shows up when we are healing. So that's a really big part. And I would say that that's probably a huge part of my foundation that has been, bulldozed and crumbled and dug the fuck out. And now it's like I'm ready to create a new foundation, which is working with, one-on-one or with small groups of people, which is something that I didn't want to do because I felt like I needed to be more influential. You can be on stages and inspire thousands of people, 5%, or you can be with 15 people and inspire them 1,000% and really change their lives. Like, what is more important? Changing someone's life completely? And when I say completely, I mean deeply. I don't like these all or nothing kind of words, but inspiring someone's life deeply, putting them on a whole new trajectory of health and finances and dreams and, relationships. Or like I said, inspiring someone like 5%, where they go home and they feel good for a couple hours and then they forget all about what you taught them or showed them. This is an experiential journey. And it's not just a one-time experience. And I keep saying that and saying that and saying that. But yet what I was trying to build was a system. First of all, trying to build a system is a problem in itself. But what I want to build is an experience for people. I want to have all different versions of experiences where people can come for one-on-one sessions if they'd like. We can do small group workshops in my backyard if they like, or I can do small group workshops in their workplace or organization if they like. I have Zoom calls that people do. I have these videos that I'm going to do. Like, there are just so many ways to help people heal. And I was so stuck in my own limits. And when you're trying to make the big times, that's a limit. Like, you're limiting, and not always. Sometimes we can be the most spiritual, grounded person and be the most famous person out there. But mine was not coming from that place. Mine was coming from a place of needing to prove something to people. So, yay me. Thank you to my friend who has always been so incredible at helping me see things. He is just the person who's helping me heal so much of my fucking trauma. It's not even funny. So with that, let's do this session together. So what I've done is, like I said, I've revamped everything. I kept adding and deleting and creating. And now I've got these sessions that I'm doing. And what I want to do is I want to see where in the body we're working, because our stress is stored in different parts of the body. Where in the body it's stored, which system in the body is being affected, and which part of the brain we're going to use in order to heal what is being held in those areas. And what is being held is always going to be some kind of stress from the core wound, because we keep thinking the same thoughts, believing those thoughts, experiencing the emotions that are generated by those thoughts. And those emotions are what affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So there's just a beautiful blue jay that just showed up right in front of me. When my mom died, I told her to come back as a blue jay, so I knew it was her, because I never saw blue jays, and she was a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan. And I haven't seen a blue jay that close this year yet. So beautiful. Thank you, Mama, for being here. So the body part that we're working with is the navel, which is our link to our birth parents. Energetically, we are linked to our birth parents through our navel. And so the system that we're working with is the skeletal system. This is so fucking funny, because I did a TikTok live this morning, because I want to start doing TikTok lives just to get used to it, and it's just a different platform to use. I chose the exact same things, navel and skeletal system. So I'm going to see if the same part of the brain shows up too, because we're going to choose a part of the brain. No, this is a different one. But this part of the brain, I actually like using better because I understand it more. The caudate nucleus, which is about breaking habits, about emotional expression and anxiety. So the caudate nucleus, that's the part of the brain that rules our emotional or helps to rule, right? Because different parts of the brain work with the same things. Emotional expression, anxiety, and being able to break habits. Okay, so we're going to keep those out, or that card out. And I'm not going to pick a part or a card for the layer that we're working with, because we know that we're going to start. I'm going to do these in order. So the first one is going to be the base chakra. And so that's what I'm going to talk about, because what I've done, like I said, is I've pieced together and mapped together all of the different things that I've been working on in the last 19 years. So energy medicine, Chinese medicine, Western medicine, church, meditation, and also many visions that I get as I'm meditating. I've been meditating for an hour a day since 2016, and holy fuck, like, the visions that I get are just incredible. And, you know, I go through times where I have these like mind fucking blowing visions. And then I go through times where I don't really experience a lot through my meditations. I'm just here. Sometimes I go through my meditations where I'm just really scattered. I'm going to take my shirt off because it's getting really hot. So, you know, oh crap, now my paper's falling. Sorry, I should have done this before. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my paper. Okay, and I have my puppy dog down here too. So anyway, we're going to talk about this because, like I said, so I already described about my meditations. But what I've done is, through these years, I journal. I journal and I journal. I journal my visions. I journal, you know, whatever it is. I draw them. I piece them together. And at the end of every journal, I rip out the pages and I write down the things that are important, that I want to remember. And so through the years, many years I've been doing this, it's like I get these little pieces, like something will piece together, and then another thing will piece together, and then another thing will piece together. And I've always loved different things, but what I was always trying to do is find the thing. And what I realized is it's not a thing, it's all of it. Like, you know, for a long time, I was really interested in the inner child and how important it is to be the best parents for our inner child that we can be. And so I wrote books about that. And then, you know, at other times, for a long time, I was talking about the moment and connecting to the moment. And I was writing about that. And then I wrote a book about our inner power. And then I wrote a book about, you know, I talk a lot about the void, or I talk about the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. And I was always like, okay, this is it. But then more would show up and I'd be like, well, what the fuck? Like, it just seemed like I would get something that I was so convinced was so powerful, but then something else would show up. And then that would be the thing that was so powerful. And interestingly enough, everything that I've been doing has now become a part of this chart. And on this chart, I've got, you know, the things that we want to connect to in order to heal, like our inner child, like the divine masculine, divine feminine, our internal power, the moment, truth, vision, mother, the divine mother and father, and the void. These are things that we want to connect to. And then what I'm seeing is what the relationship is that's going to be affected by that connection. So when we're looking at the base chakra, which is the inner child connection, that is helping us form this relationship with ourselves. Then the sexual sensual chakra, which is the masculine and feminine, is helping us form relationships with partners. And then the next one, which is our inner power, which is the solar plexus, is helping us create this relationship with our loved ones, which is our past also. And then we go to the heart chakra, which is us experiencing the moment, connecting to the moment, which is going to build these relationships with peace and presence. Then we connect to the truth, which is us speaking from the truth. That is helping us form this relationship with the world, which is creating our value and finding our value and our worth in the world. And then we're going to the third eye, and that is vision. Connecting to our inner vision is helping us form a relationship with the abundance and our future. Then we move to the crown chakra, which is a connection with the mother and the father, divine mother and divine father. And that is helping us form this relationship with nature and humanity. This is where everything becomes a divine purpose. But then what I felt is there's an eighth step, there's a step beyond the mother and the father, which is actually the void, where we just are everything. And that is creating this relationship with ease and flow and our destiny, which is the highest version of life that we can create for ourselves. So that's the bones of this chart. And then what I actually created was what wounds are getting in our way on each level. And then what I created is the emotions that we're moving through and that we need to balance in each level, and also practical actions that are going to help us heal. So there's so much on this chart, and it's so beautiful. And so every time I make a video, what I want to do is talk about it, because talking about it brings awareness. And when you can bring awareness to different aspects of self, higher self, or stuck self, limited self, that awareness, when you're doing it from a state of consciousness, from a state of love, from being in the moment, you're actually seeing it from the perspective that can actually heal it. And in order to heal it, you have to really feel it, obviously, but we also have to express it. Like what I actually show here on this chart is that every level of this chart is a part of our healing. So when we look back down to the base chakra, that's our inner child connection. Well, that's where we feed our soul by resting and playing. The masculine and feminine, which is the sensual sexual chakra. So the connection with the divine masculine and the divine feminine is helping us to be open to receive, open to giving, open to receiving, but it's also helping us to trust. Sorry, I don't think I really spoke enough about the inner child. So the connection with the inner child is feeding our soul by resting and playing. That is helping us become playful. But what it's also doing is balancing and harmonizing the emotions of sadness and joy, because they're both very, very healthy. You can't not feel sad. You have to cry it out in order to make room for the joy and the love and the peace. So then when we go to the next level, that's the connection with the divine masculine and the divine feminine. What this is doing is helping us become open by being alone and opening to giving and receiving. Like I said, this is helping us to become more trusting. We are harmonizing the emotions of anxiety and trust. We have to be anxious sometimes. Anxiety alerts us to danger, but we have to know what to trust and what not to trust in order to have relationships with partners. Then when we go to the next phase, we're looking at the solar plexus chakra, which is us connecting to our internal power. Well, that is expression. And by having open, honest expression, like expressing our anger, what we're actually doing is becoming powerful. But we become powerful by listening to others and being able to forgive. And what we're doing is finding the balance and the harmony between anger and peace. We have to express our anger. Hanging on to anger is preventing us from ever finding peace. Then we move on. We are connecting to the heart chakra, which is us connecting to the moment. This is where we start to feel. And when we're feeling, this is where we feel our emotions. This is where we listen to our thoughts. This is helping us become humble, which is also helping us balance this relationship between confusion and clarity. Nothing wrong with being confused, but when we're confused, we have to ask ourselves, what am I not aligned with? What am I believing that is not true? How do I gain clarity. And this is going to help build a relationship between peace and presence. So then when we move up, we're going to the throat chakra, which is connecting to truth. We see meaning in everything that has happened. And when we're seeing meaning, we're doing this by speaking up and showing ourselves. We're speaking our truth. We're showing ourselves vulnerably and authentically. And we're being truthful, which is helping us balance worry and wisdom. So it's healthy to worry, which means we're actually looking at things from different angles, but it's not healthy to stay there. At some point we gain wisdom and we look back and we see why everything happened, and we see the meaning in why it had to happen and what it did for us. Then we move to inner vision, and this is where we surrender. And when we're surrendering, we're becoming faithful. And we become faithful by surrendering and loving all, loving everything that has happened. But we don't want to be stuck in any of these. These are all steps, because, you know, you might be like, yeah, I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's fucking bullshit. If you're saying you love it before you're angry about it or you're sad about it, you're skipping steps, and you're actually, that's spiritual bypassing. You're not feeling the anger. You're not feeling the frustration and the confusion. You're not looking at it from different angles. And so you're just loving it in a bullshit way. Like, that's pretending, right? So we're giving up. This is where we're balancing control and freedom. Sometimes we have to feel like we're in control, and other times we want to be free and allow that control to move into freedom. As I go through this, I'm going to be able to explain it better every time. This is the first time I've ever actually explained it like this, and to be honest, it makes more sense today than it ever has. So the next step is the crown chakra, and we're connecting to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. This is where we start to free our fuckery, our wounds, our beliefs, our thought patterns, our habits. And this helps us to become grateful. But the way we do this is by giving thanks and aligning with the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. And this is where we start to balance our relationship between fear and faith. We have to be afraid. We're supposed to be afraid, but it's when, why, and for how long. How long do we hang on to the fear before we turn it into faith? And then I created this 8th chakra, which is just beyond, because I felt like it's very important to move beyond connecting with the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, because I've had a lot of experiences where I was just in the void. There was no mother and father to be connected to, because I was it. I was the divine love that the mother and father was offering to me at some time. So in the void, we're actually starting to create what we wish existed, but we're creating it from the space of ease and flow according to divine destiny. Not what we want, but what's best for the planet. And this is where we become spiritual by being, just being, and unlearning everything that we know. And this is where we are balancing these aspects of seeking and being. I guess I wouldn't really call that emotional balance, because it's not always an emotion. Seeking is not an emotion, but it is something that gets in the way of us being in the void, being in the flow. So these are all of the things that we're going to be working with each video that I'm doing. So I'm going to do the video talking about my journey, but then I'm also going to do a session, which is what we're going to do now, because we're looking at the inner child This is the relationship with self, which is our health and our happiness. And the way that our thoughts pull us and our thought patterns pull us at the level of self is through judging and comparing. Those are big ones. So I see that I always broke it into 4, but now obviously I'm breaking it into 8. 8 ways, 8 ways that our thoughts pull us. And so every level that we're working with is going to be different ways our thoughts take us. I think I just repeated that a couple times. But anyway, when we're looking at the relationship with self, our thoughts go to judging and comparing. So we're going to sit with this now, and we're actually going to do a session to free whatever fuckery we can free today. So I invite you to